Joe Schoen and the New York Giants front office were at Colorado football's practice on Tuesday, and it is very obvious that Shedeur Sanders is their guy. We're going to break that down, as well as some rumors out there that he is the number one player on their draft board. But first, I want to hear from you in the chat. I know a lot of people that watch this channel are big fans of Cam Ward. And I know a lot of people like Shedeur Sanders. So let me know, who is your QB1 in the 2025 NFL Draft? Sound off for me in the comments. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. On today's show, we are going to react to Joe Schoen and the entire New York Giants front office being at Colorado football's practice this week. They've been to 3 games this year. They have been to multiple practices, and it is very obvious that Joe Schoen and the New York Giants are all in on drafting Shedeur Sanders. On Tuesday, a whole contingency of the New York Giants front office made their way down to Boulder. Joe Schoen, Brandon Brown, Tim McDonald, and New York Giant legend Jesse Armstead were all at Colorado's practice on Tuesday. Everyone believes they were there for Shedeur Sanders, and there are rumors heating up that he is the prize that they are looking to win as they are inevitably tanking this season. In this video, you see Sanders, not a video playing, but you can find it on my Twitter at _. You see Dion talking to Joe Schoen as well as everybody else there. And for all the people that are like, well, Sanders wouldn't let Joe Schoen draft Shedeur Sanders. Dion doesn't want Shedeur Sanders to be a Giant. That is cap. It's the number one media market in the world. The Sanders are a very calculated family. They know that if he is the quarterback of the New York Football Giants and is successful, the Sanders brand will never be higher. So for all the people out there that say he's only going to go to the Raiders, which we have been told here at Chat Sports that they are looking at the Raiders, they are also very open to him being a New York Giant. The Giants have scouted Shedeur Sanders more than any other quarterback in this class. They were watching Cam Ward in person this past Saturday as Miami did get a win, but they have been to more Colorado football practices, and they have been to more Colorado football games, which is well documented, and we'll talk about more than any other player this year. It seems like Joe Schoen knows that Shedeur Sanders is the guy that he wants to draft in this class. Still a long way to go, but the rumors, they're hitting up. We're going to talk about it. Shout out to WBG84. Give him a follow on Twitter, best account on Giants Twitter. He tweeted this back out on November 16th, and we showed you that when that did happen. The Giants scouts have been at 3 Colorado games so far this year. The North Dakota State game, the UCF game, and the Utah game. Joe Schoen attended the NDSU game, the number 1 game of the season, and he also attended the Utah game. So Joe Schoen's been to 2 games. The Giants have been to 3 games, and they also attended the Colorado practice in October. They've also attended the Colorado practice in November, and the stars are starting to align as the Giants do want to select Shedeur Sanders. He did ball out, though, in the games that the Giants did attend. Against North Dakota State, 26-34, 445 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was great in the UCF game, 28-35 for 290, 3 tutties, and 1 pick. And against Utah with Joe Schoen in attendance, got a big win, 340 yards on 41 attempts, 30 completions, and 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. This feels awfully similar to last year, where the Giants followed around Drake May from game to game to game and practice to practice to practice. It's not hard to follow the trail that the Giants are leaving behind. And even an NFC assistant general manager spoke to ESPN and said this: Shedeur Sanders, he's been the best of the bunch to me, and I've been impressed by his growth this year. The on-field demeanor has been contagious so far, and the results have shown on that team this year. Now, who could that NFC assistant GM be? No way it's Brandon Brown, right? The guy that's been to 3 games this year, the guy that's been to multiple practices this year, went to practice in the spring, and even went to some Colorado events last year. Everyone knows that was Brandon Brown who said that. The NFC East general manager is none other than New York Giants Brandon Brown. From one of my New York Giants front office guys, BB is in full bloom love with Shedeur Sanders. Ask Jordan Reed to confirm it if you don't believe me. Jordan Reed of ESPN NFL Draft Insider, he was the one that wrote that column. He did not respond and say that was him because it was an anonymous NFC assistant GM. But, yeah, if you can just connect the dots. It was absolutely Brandon Brown. He is the guy. I really do think he is. And if I had to guess, I think Sanders is the Giants' QB1 in this class. I also do think they are probably watching Travis Hunter and doing their due diligence on him just in case they don't land in a spot where they can select Sanders or select Cam Ward. But they are there for the Shedeur Sanders sweepstakes. And look, how can you not be at this point? The Giants are going to draft a quarterback. The Giants need a quarterback. And a lot of people out there that I respect their opinions of when it comes to scouting college football players, especially quarterbacks, they all have him as QB1. And for good reason. The guy has put up numbers in Boulder over the last 2 years. But it's the growth that I love. It's the maturation. It's the progress. It's the getting better game after game after game that I love for Shedeur Sanders. Completion percentage has gone up. Passing yards and passing yards per game have gone up. The touchdowns have gone up as well as the interceptions, but the turnover-worthy plays have gone down. And I think that's more indicative of the decision-making of a quarterback than just looking at the raw interception numbers. Last year, Shedeur Sanders had a turnover-worthy play percentage of 1.6, meaning how often did you put the ball in harm's way? On 1.6% of passes last year. This year, he's doing it on just 1% of passes. And he's doing it behind one of the worst offensive lines in college football. Nearly identical big-time throw percentage. Don't worry about that as all. A little bit of a low number, but I'm fine with where it's at. He makes all the throws I want a quarterback to make. And there's a lot to like about Shedeur Sanders. And we're going to go even into a deeper dive of a scouting profile in a second. But if you want the Giants to draft Sanders, hit that thumbs-up icon right now. I think it's safe to say that Sanders is a polarizing prospect. I see it in the comments section. So let me know. Do you want to draft him? Hit that thumbs-up icon if you do. Coming up next, an in-depth scouting report on Sanders, and we're going to talk about where I would take him in the NFL draft and a lot more. But it's Black Friday coming up, and there's some deals going on. If you go to chatsports.com/neighbors, you can get a Giants Malik Neighbors jersey today. Go to chatsports.com/neighbors. Click that link. It's in the comments and description of today's show. The number one thing that I love about Sanders, and obviously we love the way he throws the football. He's extremely good. We all know that. But it's how cool and calm under pressure this guy is. He's already played over 22 games behind maybe the worst offensive line in college football. And he may be coming to the New York Giants or another team that drafts him that doesn't have an offensive line. And I love that he's been through the fire of that already. Through 2 years as a Buffalo, he's been sacked 81 times. So this guy has been good under pressure. Dare I say great under pressure, and he finds a way to get it done. He looks very, very calm in the pocket when pressure is coming from all angles. Shout out to Pro Football Focus for these numbers. You see him on screen. And the statistics that pop up when you talk about being under pressure and being blitzed are great. When this guy is blitzed, he completes 69.9% of his passes for 9.2 yards per attempt. Think about that. When he's blitzed, he's not just beating you. He's beating you down the field. He's got 7 big-time throws this year when blitzed. And under pressure, he's still good, completing 53% of his passes. He's thrown 7 touchdowns, has thrown 3 interceptions, but he has a turnover-worthy play percentage of just 1.6 when he is under pressure, and he has a turnover-worthy play percentage of just 1.3 when blitzed. He knows how to take care of the football even when he is under fire, and I absolutely love that. The guy can get it done even when it's a nasty and unclean pocket. I also love the accuracy and touch that he has at all 3 levels. He can hit every pocket of the field with multiple styles of delivery and multiple styles of throw. You want him to put it on a line, a 1 ball, he could do that. You want a little bit of touch to layer the football, a 2 ball, he could do that. You want him to throw a moon ball a la Russell Wilson, he can do that. He's got the 3 ball in his bag as well. And you can see that on screen. When he's throwing the ball 20-plus yards down the field, he has a completion percentage of 45%. That's extremely good. 27 completions on 60 attempts, 12 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. When he wants to work in that intermediate range of 10 to 19 yards, he's really good as well, completing 69% of his passes. And he's money below 9 yards and behind the line of scrimmage. And you see a spray chart now on screen, and he can do everything that you want. You want him to throw over the middle of the field past 10 yards, he does that. 31 completions on 46 attempts. Does have 4 interceptions on that throw, on those throws. but he's able to get it done. And that's where you see some of these young quarterbacks struggles in between the numbers. He's been really good there, especially when throwing it in between the numbers, 20-plus yards down the field, 12 of 18, 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and an NFL QB rating of 149. His ability to have touch, anticipatory throws, lets him be able to manipulate and use every blade of grass to his advantage. He's a good quarterback, man. He really, really is. And I love the fact that he's going to come in with a lot of game experience under his belt. So many times you see these guys be one-year wonders, and they don't have all this talent, they don't have all this experience, and they've got so many things they've got to tidy up. I think he's the most pro-ready prospect in the class, and I love that he's already played in 48 collegiate games, and he has 1,760 throws. So he's seen so many defenses. He's been in a lot of pressure situations. And playing in Colorado, they do put the spotlight on themselves, but he has thrived under the spotlight, and I love that. He just looks like a guy that's going to be playing on Sundays when you watch him on Saturdays. He looks like an NFL quarterback out there. He really, really does. At this point, if you want to be out on Shedeur Sanders, I get it. There's a lot of stuff you could not be a fan of. The whole Deion stuff, I get it. But when it comes to strictly in between the white lines, he's as clean of a prospect when it comes to playing the quarterback position that we've seen in a little while. Dane Brugler, somebody that I respect a lot, covers the NFL draft for The Athletic, says this on Sanders. There's a lot to like about him and his package of skills. He is poised, tough, and accurate with a natural feel for touch and layering the football. One of the main concerns is the inconsistent way he manages the pocket, drifting or welcoming negative plays by holding on to the football. Sanders reminds me of Jordan Love, he says, but without the high-end physical traits because they both use athletic movements to skillfully access different throwing platforms. Sanders doesn't have Love's size or arm strength, however, which is a concern when playing that style of game. Nonetheless, Sanders' ball placement and toughness will give him a chance to become an established starter in the NFL. I have Sanders as my QB2 at this moment. I have Cam Ward as QB1, and I don't see that changing for a laundry list of reasons. But I love the toughness. I love the ability to throw the ball to every pocket on the field, the ability to layer the football, the anticipatory throws, and I like the swag and the confidence. I want a quarterback that believes in himself and has been there and done that at the highest level in college football. And Sanders is doing that almost every single Saturday the past 2 years. When it comes to Sanders and when it comes to Ward, 5 things that I look at really at the end of the day are arm talent, decision-making, accuracy, playmaking, and leadership. I think Cam Ward has a better arm. If I had to grade arms on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say Ward is about an 8.5, and I would say Sanders is closer to a 7.5 or 8. A good NFL arm, but just a little bit above average. I think Ward has an above average to a really good NFL arm. Decision-making. I do think Sanders is a little bit smarter with the football, and that is shown in the turnover-worthy plays. I also think he's a little bit more accurate. The ball placement is really nice from Sanders, and I'm not saying Ward doesn't have good decision-making or good accuracy. I just lean towards Sanders on those 2 things. But when it comes to playmaking, it's Ward for me over Sanders' ability to get out of the pocket, use his athleticism to buy time, to make plays down the field. I'm going to go with Ward, and I like the leadership of Cam Ward more. I think he's got a little bit more dog around him. I think he's a little bit more relatable, and I think he's someone that can galvanize a locker room and be really someone that I want to depend on as being the face of my organization for the next 20 years, potentially. I like Sanders as a leader. I just like Ward a little bit more. I'd be comfortable taking either of these quarterbacks at pick 1 or pick 2. If the Giants pick Sanders at 1 over Ward, I'll be a little upset, but I'll be happy that we got a guy that I really like. So I'll be cool if either one are the next QB4 Big Blue. Make sure you are following me on social media, Matt Marshall Green _ on Twitter, as well as on IG. We'll keep you up to date as well over there on everything Big Blue. So give me a follow. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon on your way out.